All right, ambassadors, it is now time for math. It's now time for math. I need you to go and grab your math sheet that says problem solving strategy. I need you to go and grab your math sheet that says problem solving strategy. I'm going to give you a couple more seconds to go ahead and retrieve your problem solving strategy practice worksheet. Again, go ahead and get your problem solving strategy practice worksheet. All right, now let's look at your problem solving strategy worksheet. Now it says to complete the table to solve. Complete the table to solve. So for yesterday's work, you all started on how to complete tables when it comes to number of cubes and how many solid figures or how many regular figures or regular shapes or shapes would be on that certain solid figure. So for number one, it says Carly is making 3 cubes. Carly is making 3 cubes. How many squares does she need to make these 3 figures? How many squares does she need to make these 3 figures? So first, when it comes to solid figures, and it comes to cubes, we know that a cube consists of how many squares, how many flat surfaces is on a cube, how many squares or how many flat surfaces is on a cube. There is normally 6 flat surfaces or 6 squares on a cube. So before we can write our answer, let's go ahead and identify this line where the square is. So where it says this line, you will write the number of squares. You will write number of squares. You will write number of squares. You will write number of squares. So now, again, I just told you how many squares make up 1 cube. So how many squares did we say makes up 1 cube? How many squares is on 1 cube? How many flat surfaces is on 1 cube? There are 6. There are 6. So let's, under the number 1, let's write the number 6. There are 6 squares in 1 cube. There are 6 squares in 1 cube. So if there are 6 squares in 1 cube, I now have 2 cubes. I now have 2 cubes. So if I have 2 cubes and there are 6 squares in 1 cube, how many squares will be in 2 cubes? There is an addition problem that I can do, which will be if 6 squares is in 1 cube, but now I have another cube, I can add another 6. So 6 plus 6 gives me what? 6 plus 6 gives me what? 6 plus 6 gives me 12. 6 plus 6 gives me 12. So if I have two cubes, then I know that the number of squares that I have is I now have 12 squares because each cube gives me 6 squares. But now I have two cubes. So now since I have two cubes, then I know that I now have 12 squares. Now what if I have 3 cubes? What if I have 3 cubes? So that means now it's not going to be 6 plus 6, but it would now be 6 plus 6 plus another 6. So now what is 6 plus 6 plus 6? So we can break this down even smaller. I already know that 6 plus 6 is what? 6 plus 6 gives me 12. So since I know that 6 plus 6 gives me 12, then I need to just add another 6 to that 12, which then gives me what? What is 12 plus 6? 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 12 plus 6 is 18. It's 18. So I know that if I have 3 cubes, then I have how many squares? If I have 3 cubes, then I have how many squares? How many squares would I have if I have 3 cubes? I would have 18 squares. I would have 18 squares. So under the number 3, let's go ahead and write the number 18. And you can label this chart cubes. You can label this chart cubes. You can label that chart cubes. You can label that chart cubes. Again, you can label that chart cubes. You can label that chart cubes. Now I know that if I have 1 cube, then I have 6 squares. I know if I have 2 cubes, I have 12 squares. I know that if I have 3 cubes, I have 18 squares. So now let's complete the sentence. It says Carly needs blank squares. So the question was, how many squares does she need to make 3 figures? How many squares does she need to make 3 figures? So Carly needs blank squares. How many squares would she need to make 3 cubes? How many squares would she need to make 3 cubes? She would need 18. So on the line, let's go ahead and write the number 18. On the line, let's go ahead and write the number 18. All right, now let's look at number 2. Number 2 says that Frank is making 3 pyramids. Frank is making 3 pyramids. It says, how many triangles does he need to make 3 figures? So Frank is making 3 pyramids, and he wants to know how many triangles he will need to make these 3 figures. So what is he trying to make? He's trying to make pyramids, pyramids. So let's go ahead and title this grid pyramids. Let's go ahead and title that grid pyramids. So how many pyramids is he trying to make? How many pyramids is he trying to make, or how many pyramids is he making? How many pyramids is he trying to make, or how many pyramids is he making? He is making 3. He's making 3 pyramids. So in the first 3 boxes, we're going to write the numbers 1, 2, and 3. So let's go ahead and write the number 1 here, the number 2 there, and the number 3 here. Let's go ahead and write the numbers 1, 2, and 3. So now if I am trying to make the pyramids here, then on this line I will write what? If you need a reference, look at number 1. On that first line they wrote what? The number of cubes. They wrote the number of cubes. So it says that Frank is trying to make 3 pyramids. So on that first line I will write number of pyramids. So let's go ahead and write number of pyramids. And then also in that little space, let's go ahead and make a pyramid. Let's go ahead and make a pyramid. It does not have to be the best pyramid. Miss Brown pyramid isn't that great, but it's great enough. So your pyramid does not have to be super duper perfect. As long as if you are able to recognize that it is a pyramid, then it is a job well done. So again, in that first bubble, you're going to write number of pyramids. Number of pyramids. So now when you think of number of pyramids, he is trying to figure out, Frank is trying to figure out what? It says that he's trying to figure out how many triangles does he need to make these 3 figures. So he's trying to figure out how many triangles he needs. So in order to figure out how many triangles he needs, first he has to know how many triangles come on one pyramid. But before we can write the number, we have to know where that number will go. So on this second line is where we will write what? Is where we will write what? We will write the number of triangles. So on this second line, we're going to write number of triangles. And in that little open space, I want you to make a triangle. Again, it does not have to be perfect. As long as if you are able to know exactly what you drew, it is good enough for me. It is good enough for me. So in the first part, you have number of pyramids. And then in the second part, you have a number of triangles. So our job here is to find out how many triangles he needs if he is trying to make 3 figures. If he is trying to make 3 figures, how many triangles do he need? But before we can discover how many he needs to make 3 figures, we first have to know how many he needs to make 1 figure. We first have to know how many he needs to make 1 figure. So when I think of a pyramid, although I do not have a pyramid around my home right now, some of you may have a pyramid around your home. So if you need a reference, you can go find a pyramid or a pyramid-shaped item and use it as a reference. But right now, we're going to go off of what we know about a pyramid. So we know that a pyramid has how many triangles and how many squares. How many triangles and how many squares does a pyramid have? Think about a pyramid. How many triangles and how many squares does a pyramid have? A pyramid has 4 triangles and it has how many squares? And it has 1 square. So a pyramid has 4 triangles and 1 square. So if I have 1 pyramid, how many triangles do I have? If I have 1 pyramid, how many triangles do I have? I have 4 triangles. So under the number 1, you're going to write the number 4. Under the number 1, you're going to write the number 4. So I know with 1 pyramid, I have 4 triangles. With 1 pyramid, I have 4 triangles. Well, let's say I have 2 pyramids. What if I have 2 pyramids? So if I have 2 pyramids, then I know the easy way of finding out how many triangles I have on 2 pyramids will be to add the value of 1 pyramid 2 times. So how many triangles did I find out that I have on 1 pyramid? I have 4 triangles on 1 pyramid. But I'm trying to figure out, what if I add another pyramid to the equation? So that means that I'm going to go ahead and add 4 plus 4. So if I add 4 plus 4, what is 4 plus 4? What is 4 plus 4? 4 plus 4 is 8. 4 plus 4 is 8. So I know that if I have 2 pyramids, then that means that I have how many triangles? If I have 2 pyramids, how many triangles do I have? I have 8 triangles. So under the number 2, you're going to write the number 8. Under the number 2, you are going to write the number 8. Now it says that I have 3 pyramids. I have 3 pyramids. So now since I have 3 pyramids, I need to know how many triangles do I have. If I have 3 pyramids, then I need to know how many triangles do I have. So now instead of adding 4 plus 4, now I'm going to be adding 4 plus 4 plus 4 because each pyramid has 4 triangles. So now I'm adding 4, 4, and 4. So 4 plus 4 plus 4. So to break this down even smaller, I know that 4 plus 4 is what? What's 4 plus 4? 4 plus 4 is 8. So now I need to know what is 8 plus 4. What is 8 plus 4? What is 8 plus 4? Eight plus 4 is... It is 12. 8 plus 4 is 12. So under the number 3, let's go ahead and write the number 12. Under the number 3, let's go ahead and write the number 12. So I know that if I have 1 pyramid, then I have 4 triangles. If I have 2 pyramids, then I have how many triangles? 8. And then what if I have 3 pyramids? How many triangles do I have? I have 12 triangles. So now my sentence says that Frank needs blank triangles. Well, what was his question? His question asks, how many triangles does he need to make these 3 figures? So in order to make 3 pyramids, he needs how many triangles? He needs 12 triangles. So let's go ahead and write the number 12 on the line. Let's go ahead and write the number 12 on the line. All right, now let's flip it over. Let's flip it over. Let's flip it over. Let's flip it over to the back. Let's flip it over to the back. Now on the back, it says mix, strategy, practice. It says choose a strategy to solve. So I'm going to do number 1 with you, but then I want you to do number 2 and number 3 independently. Again, I'm going to do number 1 with you, but I'm going to leave you to do number 2 and 3 independently. So let's look at number 1. Number 1 says that Brent is making solid figures. He plans to make 4 cylinders. How many circles will Brent need to make these 4 solid figures? So he plans on making 4 cylinders. He plans on making 4 cylinders. So, but he needs to know how many circles would he need to make 4 solid figures. So let's create our chart. Let's create a smaller version of our chart. So right now, I want you to make your chart look somewhat like mine, if not exactly like mine. But I want you to make it as creative as you can. Make it as creative as you can. Keep in mind that your creativity goes a long way. So make it as creative as you can. Make it as creative as you can. It does not have to look exactly like mine, but as long as if you get the point or it resembles mine, it is perfectly fine. It's perfectly fine. So let's reread again to make sure that we fully understand what we are doing with our chart. So it says that Brent is making solid figures. He plans to make 4 cylinders. How many circles will Brent need to make these 4 solid figures? So for sure, we definitely know that he is making how many cylinders? How many cylinders is he making? He's making 4 cylinders. So let's go ahead and fill in our chart a little bit. Let's write the numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4 in the first 4 above boxes. Let's go ahead and write the numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4 in the first above boxes. So in order to head that line, we will say the number of what? The number of what? Sorry, I didn't mean to cross it out. But the number of cylinders. We will say the number of cylinders. So in that open space, we're going to write number of cylinders. We're going to write number of cylinders. And then also beside it, you can go ahead and write an emblem of what a cylinder may look like. We're going to write number of cylinders. And then you can go ahead and make an emblem of what a cylinder looks like. All right. So now Brent wants to know how many circles will he need to make 4 solid figures? How many circles will he need to make 4 solid figures? So of course, in this second box, we're going to write the number of what? The number of circles. So let's write in this next box number of circles. Number of circles. And remember, don't forget to draw your emblem. Also, remember, it does not have to be perfect. As long as if you can understand it, then it works for me. So that second row box, we're writing number of circles. So when you think of something being in a cylinder form, when you think of something being in a cylinder form, let me get a cylinder form for you all so that you can have a reference. So when you think of something being in the form of a cylinder, that looks like this maybe. This Lysol can is in the form of a cylinder. So I know that on one cylinder, I have how many circles? There's a circle down here, so that's what? That's one circle. And although this circle is chopped up, it still is a circle because if I put it on any flat surface, it can stand alone. It needs nothing to hold it. So it's still a circle. So I have one circle here at the bottom. And then I have another circle here at the top. So how many circles do I have on a cylinder? There are 2 circles on a cylinder. There are 2 circles on a cylinder. So on the chart where it says the number of cylinders and it says the number 1, directly under the number 1, it says number of circles. So how many circles is on one cylinder? How many circles is on one cylinder? 2. There are 2 circles on one cylinder. So under the number 1, let's go ahead and write the number 2. Let's go ahead and write the number 2. Now it says that I have 2 cylinders. Now I have 2 cylinders. So I know that one cylinder gives me 2 circles. But now I have 2 cylinders. So that means that I'm going to add 2 plus 2. I'm going to add 2 plus 2. So what is 2 plus 2? What is 2 plus 2? 2 plus 2 equals 4. Awesome job. 2 plus 2 does equal 4. So if I have 2 cylinders, then I have how many circles? Then I have 4 circles. If I have 2 cylinders, then I have 4 circles. If I have 2 cylinders, then I have 4 circles. So now it says that I have 3 cylinders. Now I have 3 cylinders. So I know that on one cylinder, how many circles is on one cylinder? On one cylinder, there are 2 circles. So now that I have 3 cylinders, I need to add 2 plus 2 plus 2. So now to break that problem just a little smaller, I already know that 2 plus 2 gives me what? It gives me 4. So now I just need to know what's 4 plus 2. So what is 4 plus 2? What is 4 plus 2? What is 4 plus 2? Four plus two equals 6. So if I have 3 cylinders, then how many circles do I have? If I have 3 cylinders, then how many circles do I have? That means that I now have 6 circles. I now have 6 circles. So under the number 3, I want you to write the number 6. Under the number 3, I want you to write the number 6. So I know that if I have 3 cylinders, that means that I have 6 circles. Now I have 4 cylinders. Now I have 4 cylinders. But I don't know how many circles I have. So now that I have 4 cylinders, I have to find out how many circles do I have. So I know that 1 cylinder has how many circles? 1 cylinder has how many circles? 1 cylinder has 2 circles. Well, what about 2 cylinders? 2 cylinders has how many circles? How many circles does 2 cylinders have? How many circles does 2 cylinders have? 2 cylinders have 4 circles. Well, what about 3 cylinders? How many circles does 3 cylinders have? 3 cylinders has 6 circles. So I know that 1 cylinder has 2 circles. So now I have to add 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2. So let's go ahead and write 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2. I'm so sorry, I'm starting to write into the next number, but we're running out of space. But we're going to get it done. So now I have to figure out what's 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2. So to make this problem even smaller, I already know that 2 plus 2 equals 4. So since I know that 2 plus 2 equals 4, now all I need to do is 4 plus 4. So what is 4 plus 4? 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 4 plus 4 is, drum roll please, it's 8. It is 8. So if I have 4 cylinders, then how many circles do I have? I have 8 circles. So under the number 4, go ahead and write the number 8. Under the number 4, go ahead and write the number 8. So now I know that if I have 1 cylinder, then I need 2 circles. If I have 2 cylinders, then I need 4 circles. If I have 3 cylinders, then I need 6 circles. And then if I have 4 cylinders, then I need 8 circles. So the sentence says that Brent will need blank circles. Well, what is the question? The question is, how many circles will Brent need to make these 4 solid figures? So if I'm trying to make 4 cylinders, how many circles will Brent need? he will need 8 circles. So on the line where it says how many circles or Brent will need, we need to write the number 8 because Brent will need 8 circles to make 4 solid figures. So looking at number 2, you're going to keep that same method and use the chart. You're going to use the chart. And then for number 3, it says Dante has 55 cents in his pocket. What are some different ways to show how much money he has? So you can give me at least 2 different ways of showing how much money he has in his pocket. You can give me 2 different ways of showing how much money he has in his pocket. That completes all of math for today. I hope that you all enjoy the math segment, and please enjoy your wonderful Tuesday. Bye-bye.